Okay, so as I said, the World Bank or IBRD is a multilateral level intergovernmental institution, and all the member countries have their shares in the capital stock of the World Bank. So let us see the key functions of the World Bank as per the Article 1 of the agreement. Okay, so let us just grab this and let me write this. Functions of the World Bank. Yeah, okay. So I'll write the first one. The first one is to facilitate investment for productive purposes. Then second is to promote private foreign investment by means of guarantee when no one, okay, so when no one is willing to pay and ask, then they can't get the loans from anybody, IBRD will help you. Okay, so when no one is willing to lend or invest. Okay, what about the third point? Yes, the third is to promote long term balanced growth of international trade. Okay, the fourth is to make loans for useful and urgent projects in member countries. Okay, and what is the fifth? Let me just delete it. So there is a fifth function also. Yes, to complement the system of private investment by providing loans and investments when needed. So these are the basic functions of the World Bank. Okay, so the World Bank works on a cooperative structure and currently has 189 member countries, and these member countries are represented by the board of a governor, and they are ultimate policy makers of the World Bank. So the board of governors consists of one governor and one alternative governor appointed by each member country. So the office is usually held by the country's Ministry of Finance, governor of its central bank, or a senior official of a similar rank. Okay, so the governors, basically they delegate specific duties to executive directors who work at the bank premises. Okay, so the five largest shareholders appoint an executive director, and while other member countries are represented by the elected executive directors. Okay, now the World Bank group, let me write down, this is very important. So the World Bank group, the current president is Jim Yong Kim. Okay, so who chairs the meetings of the board of directors and is also responsible for the overall management of the bank. Now the president is selected by the board of executive directors for a 5-year renewable term, and the executive directors make up the board of directors of the World Bank. So they normally meet at least twice a week to oversee the bank's business, including the approval of loans and guarantees, new policies, the administrative budget, then country assistance strategies, and how the borrowing should be done, and whatever the financial decisions are there. So that's the reason they meet twice a week. Now, is World Bank partial towards developed countries? Yes, there has been a complaint of many developing countries that the bank provides development loans at very discretionary high interest rates. For example, some of the loans which India has received in the recent years, they bear an interest of 53.4%, including the commission at 1%, which is credited to the bank's special reserves. Okay, so the financial aids given by the bank accounts, part of the financial requirement essential for the various development projects in developing countries. So there is a partial thing that why the loan has been given to India with such high interest. So the bank usually asks for a collateral security, so something is like a mortgage, to their lower level income and developing countries. Okay, so the logical question is, if the poor and underdeveloped countries have an asset to provide as a collateral, why would they approach institutions like World Bank for loans at concessional rate? They can go to any banks if they have collateral security. So what's the help of, and then how is World Bank helping the poor? So the working, the structure and the operations of the World Bank are dominated by the Western countries led by the USA, who are also one of the highest stakeholders at the bank. So the bank has often been criticized for not being multilateral in the true sense, and works more like a unilateral institution of the Western countries with the aim of providing profits to them. So with the World Bank, there are concerns about the types of development projects funded also. So many infrastructure projects financed by the World Bank Group have social and environmental problems for the populations in the affected area. Now, as I said also, because now there are some criticism which has been centered on the ethical issues of funding such projects. So for example, World Bank has funded various on projects on hydroelectric dams in various countries, and it has resulted in the displacement of various peoples in various areas. So the approach adopted by the bank is not suitable for all the countries. Okay, so the bank follows a very famous tradition, that is one size fits all. Okay, so that is a strategy, and such strategies cannot work effectively in a real life problem. So there is a situation that every situation is country wise. Okay, every country has a different situation. Okay, so that is why now there is also one association after World Bank, so we will talk about that. Yes, that is called as International Development Assistance. Okay, and it's also called as IDA. Now this is the part of the World Bank Group that helps the world's poorest countries. Okay, so now there are almost 173 shareholder nations. Okay, now IDA aims to reduce poverty by providing loans. Okay, so they are also called as credits. Okay, so they provide loans and grants for programs that boost the economic growth, they reduce the inequalities, and they improve the people's living conditions. So IDA complements the World Bank's origin lending arm and the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. So IBRD was established to function and self-sustain the business, and it also provides loans and advice to middle income and credit-worthy poor countries. So IBRD and IDA share the same staff and headquarters, and they evaluate the projects with the same rigorous standards. Okay, so IDA is one of the largest sources of assistance for the world's 75 poorest countries. Okay, now 39 out of the 79 countries, 39 of which are in Africa, and it is the single largest source of donor funds for basic social services in these countries. Okay, so IDA lends money on concessional terms. This means that the IDA credits have a zero or very low interest charge over 25 to 40 years of period they are supposed to pay. Okay, so IDA also provides grant to countries at risk of debt distress. Okay, so in addition to concessional loans also, IDA provides them significant levels of debt relief through heavily indebted poor countries initiative and multilateral debt initiatives. Okay, so that is why IDA is very very important. Okay, so IDA financing is expected to provide other things also apart from loans. Okay, let's talk about the next one, that is IFC. So that is International Finance Corporation. So the IFC was established in 1956, okay, to support the growth of the private sector in the developing world. Okay, so IFC is a member of the World Bank Group, and it is the largest global development institution focused on the private sector in the developing countries. Okay, so IFC state mission is to promote sustainable private sector investment in developing countries, helping to reduce poverty and improve the people's life. So now, while the World Bank and IDA provides credit and loan, non-lending assistance to governments, the IFC provides loans and equity finance and advises, technical support and services to these private sectors. So that is why it is like, now IFC has, this is very important, the IFC has worked with more than 3319 companies, and in 140 countries you have IFC since 1956. So it is a public entity also, and it's a very fast moving business environment. Let's talk about the next one, that is MIGA. Okay, so let me just clear this. Yes, I will talk about is multilateral investment guarantee agency. So that is called as MIGA. Okay, so MIGA is also a member of the World Bank. Okay, so what is its mission? Now its mission is to promote FDI into developing countries. Okay, now as I said, they have three elements to focus on the poorest countries through support of projects of IDA. They also have to protect the private investors, also the private companies, and they also see that there is a climate change, that people focus on businesses also. So they have various targets which they have to deliver, and they do it by seeing good projects, and they have an inflow of foreign direct investment in those countries. Okay, so MIG is owned and governed by its member states, but it has its own leadership and staff which is carries out its daily operations. Okay, now coming to the next one, which is very very important, that is IMF. So yes, International Monetary Fund. Okay, so now International Monetary Fund is an organization of 189 countries, okay, working to foster global monetary cooperation, secure financial stability, facilitates international trade, it promotes high employment and sustainable economic growth along with poverty reduction. Okay, so now the most important thing is that IMF was conceived, or it was started at a union or United Nation conference in Bretton Woods, New Hemisphere, United States, in July 1944, along with the World Bank. Now, the initial 44 member countries at the conference sought to build a framework for economic cooperation and to avoid a reputation of competitive devaluation of currency. Okay, because don't forget there was a Great Depression just before 1940s in the 1930s. Okay, so the IMF's primary responsibility was to ensure the stability of international monetary system should remain safe. Okay, so now the IMF mandate has been again updated in the year 2012. Okay, so here now it also includes all macro, so it's like macroeconomic, that means world economics and financial sector issues. Okay, so it also includes these two things that affect the global financial stability. Okay, so let's tell you what it is all about IMF, and let me give you a briefing of a mind map. So IMF, okay, it promotes international monetary cooperation. Okay, then these also goes ahead, it facilitates the expansion and stability of international trade. Okay, then it promotes exchange rate stability. Okay, it also assists in the establishment of multilateral payment system. It also helps, so helping member countries facing balance of payment difficulties. Okay, so this is very very important, as I said, and it is also IMF is in having 189 countries. It is the headquarters is in Washington DC, USA. It has 24 directors, each representing a single or a group of countries. Okay, and the total net balance is US dollars, it is $668 billion. Okay, so that is what, and the biggest borrowers are, who take from IMF regularly is Portugal, Greece, Ukraine and Pakistan. Okay, so this is very very important. Coming to the next one we will talk about is, yes, we will talk about is BRICS and other things. Okay, so we will talk about the next one, that is Asian Development Bank, which is very important. Okay, because definitely they will ask you a question from there. So now the Asian Development Bank was started in the 1960s. Okay, and it was a financial institution that would take care of the Asian regions. It would foster the economic growth and cooperation in one of the poorest region of the earth. So Asian continents are generally very poor. So a resolution was passed on at the first Ministerial Conference on Asian Economic Cooperation held by the United Nations Economic Commission for Asia and the Far East in 1963. And now that set a vision on the way to become a reality. Now the Philippines capital of Manila was chosen to host the new institution, which opened on 19 December, yes, 19 December 1966, with 31 members, okay, that came together to serve a predominant agriculture region, and yes, who was the president? What was his name? Let me write. Takeshi. So Takeshi Watanabe. Okay, so he was the first president of the Asian Development Bank. So first president. Okay, so the ADB aims for an Asia and Pacific free from poverty, and its mission is to help developing members to reduce poverty and improve quality of life of the people. Now, despite the region's many successes, it remains home to a large share of the world's poor. Okay, so this is very important. Coming to the next type of bank we will talk about is the new development bank. Okay, so at the fourth BRICS summit, okay, in New Delhi. Now what is a BRICS? So these are all 5 nations together who have created for cooperation, that is Brazil, Russia, India, okay, and you also have South Africa and China. So in New Delhi 2012, okay, so the leaders of Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, they first proposed the possibility of setting up a new development bank to mobilize the resources of infrastructure and sustainable projects in the BRICS. So all the members who are there in the BRICS, they thought of making a bank for themselves and also other emerging countries and developing countries, so that this bank helps to build a foundation for these emerging countries and developing countries. So at the fifth BRICS summit in Durban. So Durban is in South Africa, that is in 2013. Okay, so they establish, all the leaders of the BRICS country, they establish NDB. So it was decided that the initial contribution to the bank should be used to finance infrastructure in BRICS. Okay, so at the sixth, now again we'll go on, at the sixth BRICS summit, okay, which was taking place at Fortaleza, that is in Brazil. Okay, the leaders of the BRICS signed the agreement to establish. So they signed the agreement. Okay, and in the Fortaleza declaration also, the leaders stressed that the NDB should strengthen the cooperation among the BRICS and will supplement, there will be a global multilateral institutions like World Bank. So they were planning very big. Okay, and yes, there must be an initial authorized capital of $100 billion. Okay, so that was the basic thing, that the headquarters of the bank shall be located in Shanghai, China, and the new development bank of African regional center shall be established in South Africa with the headquarters. Okay, so now the creation of NDB was felt because of discriminatory attitude of the West, because West were not helping, so they thought of creating something for their own. Okay, so that is why the NDB was also there. And here effort has also made to avoid China's dominance on the bank. So India is made the president of the bank for the first 6 years, and after this Brazil and Russia would have terms with 5 years each. So some way or the other they have avoided China to be the president. Now over the last 20 years it has been obvious that it has been shifted to Asia and also Africa. The World Bank and the IMF, dominated by the US and the Europe, cannot function with limited voting powers for the new tigers. Okay, so that is why now you can understand also how big this new development bank has created. Okay, now the dollar will also not remain the same only option for the settlement of these global trades, especially when intra-Asian, then African and Latin American shares of the global trade start picking up in the next coming years. Okay, the next bank we will talk about is Asian Infrastructure and Investment Bank. Yes, so let me clear this. Asian Infrastructure Okay, so this is a new multilateral financial constitution which is found to bring the countries together to address the need of deficient infrastructure. So this is basically for infrastructure development across Asia. Okay, so AIIB is created, or maybe you can say as a brainchild of China. Okay, so the prime aim is infrastructure development, and by establishing interconnectivity across the Asia through advancement in the construction of infrastructure and other productive services, the AIIB can stimulate growth and economic development in the Asian region. Okay, so the main focus areas is to see that they are focusing on energy and power, they are focusing on environment protection, transportation and telecommunication, water supply and sanitation, urban development, and also on logistics, and yes, also taking care of the rural infrastructure and agriculture development. So these are the focus areas of AIIB and China. Now, China has been growing rapidly for a long time, but an important shift in its growth pattern occurred at the time of global financial crisis of 2008. So after that only China started growing. Okay, so that is why now China's growth rate is no doubt very impressive as compared to the rest of the world, but it has lost its upward, and it has fallen down. So the GDP is also come down compared. Okay, so now China's response to the growth changes his internal and partly external also. Okay, now the plan is to develop infrastructure in and out of China, not only in China but also other places. Okay, where the potential to create more jobs increases the productivity of investment, and it also increases exports of China. So the AIIB and NDB are the institutions that will finance China's new infrastructure project. So this is the very important information which I am giving you. Okay, so now AIIB is largely welcomed by China's Asian neighbors, as they believe that it has a potential to integrate Asia further through the construction of roads, highway, pipelines and railways. Okay, so the allies of China and in Asia are also seeing AIIB and other Chinese initiatives as a setback to the United States. So they believe that the US for a long has dominated the Asia Pacific, and now it's time for US to go back and let the Asians rule. Okay, so they see that the rise of China as a game changer in the region, and the Chinese allies also follow the dream of Asians for Asians. Okay, so that is what is the main thing about it. Yes, as I said, now let us come to the next topic.